Someone recently told me that I was brave and it took courage to say the things I say. And I wanted to be really clear about something before we go any further. Courage isn't free. It has cost me jobs, it has shut doors, it's made people uncomfortable, and it's made me, in quotes, difficult. But it's also built a little empire for myself. It's created books, a podcast, this one, and a community and a reputation that actually means something, I think. So today we're talking about what happens when you stop playing nice and why I keep calling out the shit that isn't cool in this industry, and why, if you're paying close attention, this is exactly why I'm a voice you should be listening to, which I know it sounds like an ego boost, but I'm allowed to say that. It's my podcast. Deal with it. Deal with it. This is a great time for you to subscribe. Be like, girl, I love you. I'm getting involved. I want to rewind for a second though. I'm not here because I accidentally became outspoken. I wasn't chasing controversy for clicks, and I'm definitely not doing this to be edgy for the sake of it. I hate that word edgy. You're so edgy. I'm not. I'm a working photographer. I'm a business owner. But I'm also someone who's watched photographers be exploited, underpaid, gaslit, and told to be grateful more times than I care to count. And at some point, I realized if I kept quiet to protect my own comfort, I was kind of complicit in it. Not only that, I was teaching students, doing work experience and seminars, and I was seeing the problems come to me and people wanted to talk about it. And I just thought, you know what? I can't just have opinions on this. I need to have standards for myself. Now, there are moments where people call it brave, and I can give you some examples. There was someone said it to me, there was a sort of magazine or something that was offering a paid job where essentially you photographed some fashion show or what was going on outside it. You needed to hand them over 20 edited images and they need the publishing rights. They were going to give you £100. Now, these were all over the world. They did say you need to be in the town or the city that these are in, but there was no expenses, no travel. It was just no accommodation, which is fine. They did say you need to be there, but not like £100 for 20 images. Like, no. What really got me wasn't just the money. For me personally, in my opinion, I have to say that before I get in trouble, it was the audacity to frame it as some sort of paid, exciting opportunity. I will tell you now, you could go to those fashion shows, stand outside, and probably book content creators to pay you to photograph them, right? I did it. You might have seen I did it. In fact, I did a YouTube video on it, like what I do outside of shooting the runway shows. I make money shooting. And I'm sorry, £100? Nah, man. Not so you can post it on social media and put it in your magazine. I just felt like no. And I publicly said no. Publicly, clearly, I'm without an apology. But suddenly I was like, oh, Khandie, what are you doing? Oh my God, that's so negative. You're burning bridges. You're so difficult. No, I am refusing to normalize what I believed was exploitation. In my opinion, I have to keep saying that. I also called out bad behavior in this industry. Photographers who behaving like absolute fools, overstepping boundaries, acted entitled, treating clients, models, and venues like props, ruining access for everybody else. And I talk about it, not naming names often, but naming patterns. I have spoken about the fact that there was a laundrette here in my town where I did a couple of photo shoots, and I went to do it again. The woman said no because some people came in and trashed it for a photo. I'm now allowed back, thank you. They're not. There was a photographer that everyone was talking about, and I was like, no, he shouldn't be doing this. That's not appropriate. And it turned out he was filming people in the changing rooms. I mean, I didn't know that at the time, but he gave me the ick, and I spoke out about it. I have spoken out about the fact that someone was sharing images regardless of whether the client had said yay or no to them. And I've seen people who don't give a crap what they do. Like, they trespass and then wonder why we can't get access. Now, the thing I always speak about is the bluebells, which everyone goes mad at me. The British bluebell is a protected plant. Standing on it, laying on it, trampling on it, picking at it, even on its leaves is a crime, right? And people go, oh, it's just a plant. Well, they don't grow back. The 5 years I think it takes them to grow back. They are protected. And forever and a day, there's people here in North Hampshire who go off to certain fields and they photograph. And even though the Woodland Trust has said no commercial photography is allowed to be on our land because it's an area of significant ecological importance, and you need permits, people are still going there offering shoots. And no matter how many times we tell them, no, they're like, no, it's more important my profits. It's my profits that are more important. The fact is that there were people going there and stopping people using the path. There was one person who was allowing the children to pick the plants. I was like, oh, this is why we can't. Like, I could almost give you stood on the path and you took some shots, but the fact is you're allowing people to trample and then destroy them. Oh, but the dogs look really cute. And you wonder why we can't have nice things. There's a place here up at Delabrie which has got some bluebells. They have got some Spanish ones as well, which aren't protected, but they've got the British ones. We were walking past with my client, who happened to be a woodland officer, which I didn't know at the time. I think it was Woodland Officer. And there was a photographer who laid a blanket on the bluebells and then picked loads to give to her client's child. The guy went mad, absolutely mad, because they are so difficult to maintain. They are absolutely protected and people doing it. And I talk about it all the time. I don't care. I talked about the fact that I was doing a wedding at this country house. We came out, they've got the archway that they put flowers on, and there was another bride and groom stood there posing under this my bride and groom's flowers at their venue, and they've talked about, we'll be done in a minute. I went, no, this is their wedding, move. And it's like, oh, but I need to get, then you should have got them this venue, okay? This is literally their wedding venue. They've hired it and you're stood there. I called that out. I thought it was atrocious. He did it. And worse yet is that he had given his bride some flowers from their arrangement. And I freaking hate that. I talked about the photographer who stole some of the, and I'll just say, stole some of the copy from my website and tried to palm it off of their own. I'll talk about the photographer who uses other people's images to advertise, including advertising to me, which is probably their mistake, advertising their business imagery when none of it was theirs. It was actually belonged to Splash, I think it was, or Behance or Stock or something. No, not okay. Okay. I call it out. And the reason I wouldn't normally call it out when it comes to that, but if it, like, I don't go seeking it, but if it comes to me, I will call it out because I just don't think complicity is something I'm good with. I will say no. And it maybe it's fine, but do you know, for you, but do you know what, for me, silence does not protect the industry, it rots it. And I've always said it will. Okay. So I'm not going to romanticize this. It has cost me. It has lost me opportunities. It makes brands a little hesitant. It's closed rooms that I would never have been invited into anyway. So God knows why that would bother me. I've been put on that list. You know, the one that's like, oh, she's awkward. I remember a rumor. In fact, I remember a brand telling me that somebody who was well known in another community had said that I had done something, which I categorically hadn't. I think it was I had cost a brand a load of money. At the time, I only worked with one brand and I was still working with that brand. And they said it was not this brand, it's another brand. I did not know what brand apparently I worked for. I did not work for any other brand. I sat there for ages going, I don't know what they're about. And what made me laugh is that the people who told me were like, yeah, we knew they were lying. We just thought it was hilarious that they were this person who was just telling us this lie and everyone in the room knew they were bullshitting. And I was like, brilliant. Did you call them out on it? Oh, no. Oh, okay. Brilliant. But now I know this person has said these lies about me. So every time like they come and talk to me, because I don't think they know I know. I just sit there and I look at them going, yes, bullshit. Obviously, like, I was sent the evidence so I could see it. It wasn't like me, but I look at them and they tell me stuff and I'm like, no, I'm like, I don't believe anything you say in the slightest. I'm that person that once you've lied to me, that's it. But I thought it was quite, yeah, it was quite amusing to be told that. Put me on a list. I'm sorry. Are you scared that I'm going to call you out? I'm not here to trash anybody. Don't be a dick, and I won't have to, will I? I don't actively go out to seek it. Let me just tell you now. But there are people who will never work with me because I won't play along. Like, I got offered a lot of money to tell everybody that I used a product that everyone else seemed to be using, but I didn't use it. And when I said no, they were like, "Oh, we'll offer you some more." No. I'm just saying no because I don't use this product. Yeah, but it'd be fine. Here we are. No. I don't use this product. I'm not going to endorse it. Yeah, but don't worry. Loads of people do that. I don't want to be one of those people. I realized turning down money is a great privilege, but I was like, no, I'm not selling it. I'm not. And I spoke about it. I told people about it. I shared, maybe not the name as such, but I definitely shared some of what I was asked to do. There was no disclaimer on their email that said I couldn't. I didn't share names or too many details, but I was like, yeah, I got asked. I think it's appalling. I think it's dreadful. Yeah, I don't mind. And honestly, good. Because if your door only opens when I shut my mouth, it was not meant for me. And it's certainly not somewhere I would recommend any photographer getting involved in. But what did happen is when people don't talk enough, right, things will open when you do talk. And so while some doors were shut, better ones open. People saw themselves in my book. They recognized themselves. My first book, right? Take the fucking lens cap off, went crazy for me. I thought I was going to possibly sell 20 books on my first couple of weeks. No, I went straight in at top seller in two categories, like straight in week one on Amazon. I was like, what the actual? And then my second book, straight in again, two top seller books, right? By not shutting my mouth And you know what? Photographers were talking to me, reaching out to me, saying they felt seen. They felt like it somehow gave them permission to say no. They stood up for themselves. One woman came to me and literally had notes written in the margin. Was like, this is what I needed to hear to be able to stand up for it. I was like, yeah, honey, stand up for yourself. I do seminars. I was at the societies talking about this stuff, standing up for yourself because it is your business. But also when you work in photography, it's a reputation. All right. So people started to respect my boundaries before I even had to explain them because I give that energy off. I'm not horrible. I'm not. I like to think I'm not horrible. I regularly check in with my friends if I'm horrible, but I'm always worried. I'm friendly. I'm approachable, but I will not tolerate douchebag behavior. I just don't. Clients told me that they loved it. They got what they got from me. They understood where they stood and they loved it. And I work with people in business who respect that. They understand. Like I told the story recently about how somebody wanted me to Photoshop them in an extreme way, despite their boss saying, no, I'm not doing that. And rather than me just say, oh, like some people say, oh, you should just caved and done it. I was like, no, someone else is paying me to do this work. I can't undermine them. So I told the person, you need to go speak to your boss. And they went, oh, go speak to your boss. Go speak to your boss. I appreciate that you don't want it done like this, but your boss has paid me to do this, so I can't change this. Please go speak to your boss, right? I'm not horrible. I talk the story and people are like, oh, you should have understood where this person view. I completely understood, but I'm also in business and I'm not here to mollycoddle in a way that, and that's not even the correct word, but I'm not here to change my business parameters and risk losing that client because this person wants to change it who doesn't have permission to change it. Okay. I have no problems in talking to people when they say, "Oh, I've done this and now my client didn't want to do this." I'm like, "Well, did you plan it with your client? Did you have it in the contract?" No, no, no. Then what do you expect to happen? Like, I'm not horrible, but I'm very blunt, and I know that's not always lovely to take. But I also think in business we need to be very straightforward in what we're saying. And I've been like that. And I think what happened is this podcast really took off. And essentially, I'm not tiptoeing around subjects. I'm talking about them. They're short, they're sweet. They're not sweet actually, are they? But they're short and concise because I don't want to waste your time. And I kind of what I love is that when I was at the Societies show, a couple of people who said, "We just love your honesty. We just love it," and it didn't feel like I was being hyped. It felt like people were recognizing the kind of person I am. I really struggle to see the gray area in black and white, which is a downfall sometimes, but I am working on it. Um, but for me, like, why did you do that? That hurt somebody. Okay, that's not cool. Why didn't you do that? You hurt somebody. That's still not cool. Do you know what I mean? I'm not building something here to be palatable. I'm building something to be consistent and true to who I am. Sometimes I make mistakes. I will. Sometimes I'm maybe a little too much, and that's okay. We're adults. We aren't fixed with certain guidelines. We push and we pull back. That's okay. I'm allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to do do-overs. We're allowed to realize that we have to apologize for things. And in the past, I have apologized sometimes when it's warranted and when it's not, because sometimes it's easier to do that than it is to dwell. But I didn't write books to be liked. I wrote books because too many photographers were drowning quietly, and that's something I knew I needed to do. So when I was doing my book, which you can buy on Amazon, just look under Khandie Reese, I was able to project what I was feeling, be that imposter syndrome, gatekeeping, competition, ego, this whole idea that if you work harder, exploitation just disappears and no one will ask you to do really weird jobs. I seem to say the things that some people will send me in DMs out loud. And that's why they land because they need it. And that doesn't mean like I'm a rent a gob, although I do joke that I am a bit. But I do think speaking up is not for everybody. Do you want a career that looks good on Instagram or do you want one that aligns with your values? I'm actually doing a talk on this at the photo and video show. So if you want to come along, please come along because staying silent might keep you safe temporarily, but speaking up builds something slower and sturdier. Staying silent makes you appear an easy target or someone who's complicit because you won't rock the boat, you won't stand up. Now, it takes a lot to do that and some people aren't going to do that. The industry won't change because of influencers. It changes when people stop accepting the nonsense and we start calling it out. Now, someone called me one to watch in a nice way, apparently, and I'm going to say this without cringing. I'm not saying this to inflate my ego. I'm saying it because pattern recognition matters. I've been consistent for the last couple of years. I will say I haven't like just always been like this in my personal life. Yes. In my previous careers, yes. But in photography, I tell the story that I tried to toe the line for years and I just had enough. In the last couple of years, I've been very consistent. I've had the same boundaries, I've had the same message, and I've had the same refusal to accept bullshit. And trends come and go, and influences pivot, but my integrity has always been pretty strong and grounded. So if you're looking for someone who isn't afraid to call out bad practice, understands business and ethics, has receipts, scars, and results, then yes, I'm probably someone you should be paying attention to. Can I say that? I'm so egotistical. You should pay attention to me. I'm amazing. I don't know if I can actually say it without sounding like a complete and utter douchebag, but I've said it. It's my podcast. I've said it, God damn it, and I'm sticking with it. Um, yeah. If someone calls me brave, it's not because I'm some crazy fearless warrior. It's because I decided to be honest when it mattered more than being liked. Because you can be liked, you can just smile and say all the right things. So if you're listening to this thinking, I wish I could say this stuff, you can. It just costs, and it's whether you're willing to use that. But I will say that staying silent is costing you already. I don't know how else to say that. But if this episode has hit you, if you share a photographer who's biting their tongue, DM me if you've ever been told just to be grateful and you just are fed up with stuff. Leave a review if you're sick of the industry pretending everything's fine. And as always, it isn't about being loud for loud's sake. It's about being clear. This has been the Loud Lens. I have been Khandie, the gob on the mic, the wench behind the speaker. It's been a privilege to do 103 episodes for you right now. That is a lot of episodes, isn't it? That's more than the Dalmatians. No, because it's 101 Dalmatians. Was that including the parents? See, off on a tangent. I'll see you all later. Take care, and I'll see you at the photo and video show. If you are going to the photo and video show this year, 2026, at the NEC in Birmingham, use SPK26 if you do not qualify for the free tickets, which is for professional photographers and videographers. But also remember that tutors and students can go free. I think it's Monday and Tuesday, but check the details. I will see you there. I am on the Pro Forum. I'm also on the BIPP stand. Please come find me. We will have a chat. Bring your book. I'll sign it. I'm joking. You don't have to do that. But let's take weird selfies together, all right? Love ya. Appropriately. From a distance. From a distance. Ah. No, I'm going now. Bye.